What's going on? Back at it again on Back of the Bus. Brought up some of my folks. Tina, she dreads me. Blues House. We gonna chat about sinners, and we gonna get to it. Tell the folks how you been, what you doing, what's going on.
So what up, y'all? My name is Tina. She dreads me. You can find me everywhere under she_dreads me. TikTok, YouTube, Twitter. Y'all follow me. I got a really good interview coming out pretty soon. But yeah, I'm here to get on Marcus's about sinners.
She ain't got nothing for me, y'all.
What up, my good people? How y'all doing, man? This is Bluminati from Blues House. You can find me, Blues House, everywhere. That's all you gotta do. BLUHOUSE. Sometimes it's BLUHOUSE1, but you type that in, you better find me anywhere and everywhere. This boy about to get cooked today, I'm trying to tell you.
As you can see, my comrades here are very overconfident. I would gladly walk them up and down these takes if that's what they want. First of all, let's start on the writing side of things. I definitely had a problem with the latter half of this movie, but a few scenes stuck out in particular. The first one is definitely Grace's, come on in, motherfuckers, kind of grand poor man all at once moment. I didn't think it made sense logically. I also didn't really like the way that it was just kind of smoothly transitioned into the gun scenes. They will probably tell me about the interview with Ryan Coogler, where he alluded to Grace being kind of the personification of a mother.
Ryan Coogler kind of spoke out and dispelled that a little bit, and he said Grace more so was a representation of a mother. He said, but at the end of it all, he wanted to show that Grace was a mother.
I think a mother would still have some sort of logic or planning in place, even with having her child being at the forefront of her mind. Being that all of the vampires are still in sight, they're still pursuing us, they're still here. They're not breaking off. They haven't left. We went so far as to explain that in the dialogue leading up into that scene. So that's why it was extra confusing to me that we even got there. Make it make sense to me.
First off, when you are in a situation like that, logic goes out the damn window, okay? If it was my child, I'm not going to say I would do what Grace did, but I can only imagine what she's thinking in that moment, especially after seeing what's happened to her husband. Marcus feels like that, and a lot of people feel this way, like, why would she do that? The vampires were there. They wasn't going anywhere. They were going to go terrorize that town eventually. Even if it wasn't that night, even if they went back to their coffins and went to sleep, they were eventually going to get to the town. I can't justify Ryan Coogler's writing of it, but I can understand in that moment, as she's like thinking about screaming, they're also singing outside. And so I also took that as another way that they're using music. The music was also getting to her too and kind of agitating her. And I think she just damn lost it. And like, come on, I'd rather die fighting for my child than to let y'all eventually go and get her. So that's my take on, the come on in, motherfucker. Logic was gone. It was gone.
Yeah, Marcus, I don't know if we watched the same thing. Grace was fed up. Remick just came to her speaking Chinese. This is something she had never seen. We ain't seen no I'm a poor Chinese immigrant in Delta, Mississippi. All I know is uppity white folks and black folks. That's all I know. Now I got vampires outside singing and sea walking and dancing a jig. Nah, man. I don't know what's going to happen at the end of the night. We just got to make it till morning. We ain't going to make it till morning. She was fed up. It's time to go. And as far as the writing, that was just a way to push the plot. I still got to push the plot along. You know what I'm saying? So why not use her to push the plot along? She was a plot device. That's an easy way to get them in the house. I got this woman. She's fed up. Daughter could be killed at any moment. I don't know. She snaps. They come on in. Now, as far as the transitioning to the guns, they already had them laid out. Remember the scene prior to that, while they was loading up the guns and all of that good stuff. So I didn't see nothing wrong with it. I didn't see an issue.
Very good job by both of my friends here. Absolutely gave me a lot to think about. First of all, I think Blue kind of gave me exactly what it is I was looking to point out, in that it wasn't that it was a logical decision. As Tina said, it was more so that her character was being used as a plot device to get the vampires in. Again, I'm not putting it on my shoulders to write it, as the naysayers would love to say in the comments from time to time, go and write your own movie. I'm not proposing that I can do that. What I am saying is that as a viewer, I would have liked a little bit more tactful way for that to have happened, because the way I was looking at it is, when you establish the fact that they can't enter here without an invitation, you kind of are handing them a Jeopardy card, a joker, a whammy of some sort, and to have it thrown away so frivolously came off as sudden. Also, I will take a little bit of what Tina said about the music or the singing, the chanting having an effect. I would have liked to see that expanded on it more. Again, these are writing points that I'm critiquing. It's not necessarily that 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. It's that, why would that character do that? Why would we go this route? Even with the preparation of the guns and stakes, I didn't see them create the perfect firing tunnel to the front door like they had the minute all them vampires came in. That's a strategic setup, right? To bottleneck in combatants or enemies is set up to be that way. And they were in perfect position to cut them vampires in as soon as they were breaching the entrance. Now, if you're telling me that they had the guns, they set them up, they sharpened it, the stuff was still scattered, then they had to run and go get them. Okay, cool. if the stuff was all set up there on the back and they somewhat struggled as if they didn't expect to be bombarded by vampires, because that's what's actually happening, right? No. James Bond style, baby. Gotcha. Ah! The points about the music affecting her and kind of driving her to that decision, I would definitely take that because it sticks within the supernatural nature of the film. Is actually one of the things in the later part of the film I feel like they kind of took their foot off the gas with, is expanding on the kind of different parts of a supernatural world you would expect a horror film to kind of breach out. They touched on it a little bit in the scene with Annie and Smoke when they was talking about the roots. We were just kind of tiptoeing into it, and we completely backed away in the third. I guess we'll agree to disagree, but I will take some of the points that Tina said about the effect that Remick was having on the people inside the barn. So the next big problem that I had, there's a point in the fight where the vampires just kind of get up and scurry out. Now, that in itself was a little unexpected, I guess, not really anticipating that or getting the direct follow-up as to why, but they're coming right back. And the only reason why they are is because Delroy Lindo was opening up his wrist for reasons unknown. Can somebody explain to me why Delroy Lindo had to die in this movie? It's feeling a bit like Angela dying in water for no damn reason.
Let's talk about the vampires getting up and running away first. Remember, they got up and ran away when Annie said that they feel his pain. He got up and ran off. So they all got up and ran off too. I don't know if you remember that scene. He got hurt, they got hurt, and they ran off. I think that's the scene that you're talking about. They came back once he said, all right, he cut his wrist. All right, motherfuckers, y'all come and get me. Now, the cuts probably aren't the best cuts in the scene. If you want to nitpick, I would nitpick the cuts, not necessarily why are the vampires still in there, because they came in there to eat. You know what I'm saying? No, one way or the other. The POV that we're not seeing also, if you're watching, because I just watched it was more survivors in there in the juke joint than what we realized. I know we see Pearline, we see Smoke, Annie, Sammie, and Delta Slim, but it was actually other people still in the juke joint that they wasn't showing us. If you go back and you watch the scene where they were doing all the shooting and stuff like that, when the vampires first ran in there, it was more people in there. Why did he cut his wrist? We had to get rid of Delroy Lindo because we're getting rid of everybody. Everybody has to go, and this was a noble way to get him out of the way. And I understand, I know it's Ryan Coogler and he do some things that we are not proud of. I'm with you. I'm right there with you, Coogler. What are you doing? But I didn't take this as one of those. Everybody had to go. Could he have written a better way to get rid of Delroy Lindo? Yeah, but he still had to go. That's how I figured.
Delroy was my depressed uncle who was ready to go. Delroy was ready to die. Delroy told y'all at least twice he was ready to go. The first time Delroy mentioned about being ready to go, he said, look, I probably ain't got about 10 more years here left with me. So he was already kind of in the mindset of, look, this is my life. This is all I got. I drink. I'm an alcoholic. And then later on into the movie, Delroy told Sammie, the devil done been after me a lot of times. I'd rather him get me tonight than you. You gonna be protected. So the only thing I can kind of guess for me is I already saw that he wanted to kind of go, and he just sacrificed himself for everyone. I think he also was thinking like, y'all run, y'all go upstairs. I'm finna cut myself up. I'd rather have all the vampires come to me, and that'll give y'all some time to get away and at least make it to sunlight. So it was a sacrifice. Listen, I done seen a lot of vampire movies, so I expect everybody to die any damn way. So that's just my take on it.
First of all, Blue, you said a whole bunch of stuff just to come back and say they all had to die. No, fam, they don't all have to die. And I'm gonna tell you why they don't. The film that this film is loosely, I would say, inspired by From Dusk Till Dawn. Quentin Tarantino, George Clooney, Selma Hayek with the big old anaconda, right? We all remember that movie. Kind of sets up the same way. We're setting up like a movie that ain't got nothing to do with vampires. Then all of a sudden, boom, supernatural thriller, right? Only George Clooney survives, the young damsel survives, and the boy hero survives. They survive the night. Also, did I hear both of y'all say that they was planned for sunlight? Hold on now. I thought we was done with that. I thought we wasn't playing for sunlight anymore. I thought we threw all of that out when Grace was feeling too much of her motherly willies, right? I understand that a lot of this is just to progress the plot. It's just to get to the point in the script that was already predetermined. That's my issue. We're not writing our way there. We're making us get there because that's where we need to be. You know what I'm saying? It's like we predetermined what was going to happen and we ended up there because that's where we needed to be and not because that's where the story was going. If we were doing this stop clock, let the sun come up thing, they would have tackled Grace the minute she started acting like that she was about to let them in there, right? I'm halfway with you on Delroy Lindo's sacrifice to be for Sammie because he does directly reference that. You're right in a few scenes earlier. If there was a clear out, if there was a, oh my God, their safety, the vampires are on, they right on Sammie's back, they bearing down on us, and then he does it, it flows a little bit better. it felt, I think this is what Blue was talking about. It felt a little bit disjointed to see all of them jump up, run out, and then Delroy Lindo decides at that moment, right after them running out, that that's the moment for the sacrifice kill. I would have expected that very instance to be a little bit more dire. Like, they're literally about to get us right now for you to make the ultimate sacrifice. But I do hear you on he's at the end of his rope. He's telling stories about things he done seen, things that he's seen done to men that human beings should never ever see. So that tracks a little bit. That is set up by the writing, though. The only reason why we know that happened is because he wrote it in the script. We are taking cues from dialogue to give us context on the character. We can't just throw that away when it stops working that way.
They were still playing the sunlight game. Grace wasn't. Grace was the wild card in that. After they got rid of that wild card, we still got to survive till the sun come up. I don't have a kid at home waiting with a vampire to come in. You know what I'm saying? Smoke and everybody else, they don't have that at home, as far as we know. So that writing is in there. And they did try to stop Grace. She bit Smoke when he tried to cover them out. By that time, she said, come on in, motherfuckers, come on. You know what I'm saying? They tried to stop her. It didn't work. Now they got to deal with the consequences of that. I think the writing is in it. I feel like you're taking certain scenes not in the same order of how it was viewed or how it was done. And I could be wrong. But Delroy, like Tina said, he was already saying that he was ready to go. You know what I'm saying? And to me, it makes sense. Hey, I'm the oldest one here. Y'all take me. Because remember, they was running upstairs to get away. Y'all go upstairs. Come on now. Slip my wrist. Y'all come get me. That was really the only play in Delroy's mind. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not rocking with what you rocking with.
There were still vampires in there. We also got to figure out, because me and someone else was arguing about it, are the vampires fully controlled by Remick, or does some of them still work on their own free will? Because some of them ran out, but it still was some in there. And I think that's where we can kind of nitpick on the editing of the movie, kind of like what Blue said. But because I've seen it a couple times, every time I go back, I catch things that I didn't catch before. But there still was some still in there, and some did run out.
You raise a good point about the connection on the vampires to Remick. With Remick having all of them, connected to him, and these are a lot of newly turned vampires. If we're sticking with typical vampire lore, when you're first changed, that's when you're your most vulnerable. You're at your most primal. So your maker, which they didn't name him that in this movie. I don't know if that's the thing in Sinners, but the person who turned you is is almost like your vampire mama, right? Some of them ran out, some of them stayed. Some of them stayed and burned in the lake after he got stabbed and as the sun was coming up. But then obviously Stack and Mary got up through and didn't sit around Remick and die. Are we saying that was, they're the chosen two? They were the only ones that was able to smarten up and be like, oh shit, here comes the sun, I'm gonna bounce. Somebody did tell me that fight ended in the house. I thought I saw Stack run out, but again, I can't be sure. I can't be positive. I don't remember. I do know the Delroy Lindo scene I'm remembering in sequence, though. I don't know what you're talking about, Blue. That's exactly how it happened. Them group, maybe it wasn't all of them, but that group of vampires ran out because Remick got hit with the shit, like you saying, right? And then Delroy said, as they was like, all right, come on, y'all, we about to go. He said, all right, I got you. That's how that joint went off. Last two things. Let's get to some cultural impact stuff. Now, I will go ahead and preface this conversation to say that this doesn't have anything to do with the structural integrity of the film. This is more so my personal take and my personal feelings. So I'm opening it up to the floor for a discussion. The first thing that stuck out to me was there were certain choices with character backgrounds that were taken here that I felt like if you completely removed, wouldn't have changed it materially. Wouldn't have changed it. Everything that happened would have still happened the same way, and it could have looked exactly the same. I teeter on this thing with Ryan Coogler about how he presents his worldview through his films. And I think there is a very beautiful aspect because you see the dedication he puts into his shots, into his film, in the way that he shoots, in the physical sense. When we're setting up some of these relationships, though, even on sometimes established stories and characters, we always take the decided pessimistic view, the most nihilistic view we can possibly get. Smoke tells Miles a story about how Stack has to murder his father. They have an abusive father. And when they're young, Smoke had to stand up and kill his father so that they could survive. Now, it's mentioned lightly to Sammie. I keep calling him Miles, to Sammie. And then I would guess if I kind of tracked with the other references that they had about them as brothers, it was supposed to talk about how Smoke always protected Stack, right? Like he always stood up for him. He always was there. He was the one kind of guiding him, keeping him out of trouble, or just being that guardian angel over him. Is the only way we can show that patricide. Is he not a loving brother for going and robbing the Irish and the Italians with you? Is he not a loyal brother for going and signing up in the military and running around with you? Why is it necessary for this man to be a parent murderer to drive our point home? outside of the hype for the movie and how well it's doing and how good we feel about it in that sense, because I make no never minds about it, Sinners being a success is a win for me as well. But I can't ignore some of the other cultural messaging that we seem dedicated to in these films with Coogler.
The crazy thing is, I don't disagree with anything you said except for one point. Smoking Stack's father, to me, the patricide, I looked at it as it was a compare and contrast between the other two brothers in this film that we didn't really touch on, which was Sammie's dad and Smoking Stack's dad. Smoking Stack's dad was bad, evil, sinner. He played the guitar. Remember, at the end of the movie, Smoke came back and said, no, that guitar belonged to my dad. That guitar, and I said, if we would get a prequel or a sequel, I would like to know what power this guitar had, because the guitar is what kind of saved the day, but it was also what brought the vampires, you know what I'm saying, there. It's got a power of its own. Was Smoke and Stack's dad evil due to this guitar? Because to me, it was about blues music being, it's two sides to this film. It was the religious and the spiritual side with this film. The religious side was Sammie's dad preaching, the gospel music. You're only supposed to sing for the Lord, son. They talked about it at the beginning of the movie. Sammie said, nah, man, this weekend I'm going out to kick it at the juke joint. I'm grabbing my guitar. I'm going to hang with my big cousins, right? Come to find out, his big cousin's dad was the owner of the guitar. The big cousin's dad played blues music. I'm pretty sure that's why he had a blues guitar. Evil, bad. That's what I looked at it as. Did he have to die? Not necessarily, but we go back to I still have to write a story that brings people in. And even with you bringing that point in, it still drew you in. I might have drew you into a negative thing, but it stopped to make you think, why did this have to do this, right? So I think the writing did its job, is to make you think. Now, you was on the opposite side of what some people think, but that's what I looked at it. It was the compare and contrast of the patriarchs in this movie that we really don't get to see. As far as how Ryan Coogler does a lot of unnecessary death, he does. You were spot. I didn't like how he did Apollo Creed neither. I was like, Apollo ain't never been out here slinging wood like that. He was with his wife. All he cared about was being the best boxer and being with his old lady, and you know what I'm saying, being draped in furs and stuff like that. So for Coogler to come in and do it that way, for him to be a bastard child, he loves bastards. You know what I'm saying? We know that. Bastard is a thing of his. That's his motif for some reason, is his MO. But yeah, I looked at it, that part, when it comes to the dad and the patricide.
Did the dad have to be this bad guy who forced Smoke to have to take him out? No. But as someone from the South, there's this real thing. I think Dr. Umar coined it with post-traumatic slave syndrome. Okay, this is not far away from slavery. You're probably not going to find a lot of black men during that time that were happy, joyous, and full of life, like just great fathers, because of what they just had to deal with. Not only them, what their dad's dad had to deal with. Probably wasn't the best parents. Now, did it have to be written that way? No. I think they did it to really build the reputation around who Smoke was. Now, could Smoke have killed somebody else? Yeah, sure. But I think we still would have been complaining either way it goes. Because if Smoke would have killed somebody white, he'd be dead or in jail. I think they did it to build the reputation of Smoke. Hey, don't play with him. That boy took his own daddy out. He don't play. But the reality is, there just was a lot of men and women who were traumatized and not healed, because I just watched my parents get whipped or beaten, and no, I'm probably not going to grow up and be the best parent that I can. And yes, now I'm going to drink alcohol, or the other side, like Blue said, is now I'm going to dive into religion. So you kind of got these two coins that, most people kind of go with. I just, I don't see no other way out of it during that time frame. How can you be happy? How can you be a great father?
Couple things. First of all, with Apollo Creed, the reason why I brought him up is that they went so far as to make his entire aesthetic pristine. That was part of the uphill battle, or the juxtaposition between those two characters. Rocky was this downtrodden, dirty from the north side of Philly. You know what I mean? He living in a meat locker half the time. Apollo Creed was clean, kept. He had a wife. He had kids. He had endorsements. He wore the American flag on his trunks. Now, we can introduce realism into fantasy and say, would that person in real life be this, that, third, and the other? We can project that all day. What I'm saying is that it was never shown. We never saw that man have illicit relationships outside of his home. We never even alluded to something of that being part of his character. All right, this is a man who lost to Rocky, got off the mat, trained him for his next championship bout. That's what I'm talking about, man. Like, if we care about us, if we care about our history, then we should look to uplift those things, right? Apollo Creed was a figure that deserves to be promoted, and you have an opportunity to do that and add to his family legacy. And I'll give you another reason why I don't think I'm the only one that thinks that. If you have read the miniseries that Michael B. Jordan himself wrote, piggybacking off of Creed, right, that highlights his daughter. He has completely flipped that narrative. Well, not completely, but mostly flipped it on his head. He knows his siblings in the Creed family. They have a long history together. They have a shared family history, right? Obviously, the beginning nature of how it was set up in the films is already there, but he has found a way in his own creative lane to write a story of prominence, a story that pushes us forward. Yeah, no, is it realistic for a deaf girl to be fighting in the Junior Olympics and then, maybe potentially fighting for the Women's World Championship? Probably not, but that's what he's writing. Why is it that one part of this cohort can put escapism in their mind and write something that makes us leave prosperous and uplifted, and another one makes us feel that way, but we got to do it through the trauma vehicle? Like, we got to drive down trauma lane several times over to get where we're going.
Stephen A. 2 Raw, I got you. Like I said, I'm on your side up until a point. Yes, trauma vehicle, I think, because how we get a story, or how a lot of us got a story out, is work through the trauma, come on the opposite side in a positive way. I think that's his mode of storytelling. It's not the best, especially in 2025, how we want to view Black excellence. It's probably not the best. I get it, escapism and everything like that, but that's how he views coming. Hey, let me get dirty so I can come out clean. I think that's what he does.
I feel like there's a world for both. There's a world where Ryan Coogler can sit over here and make all the traumatic stories that he wants. And then there's a world where if we support people like Ava DuVernay and Viola Davis and all these other people who want to put this positive stuff out, you can do that. We can have both. We can have both, because guess what? I understand as Black people, we always want to show up the best and make white people feel like we don't have. White people can make their traumatic movies and we be okay with it. I watch Game of Thrones. They killing niggas left and right. Is bastard babies everywhere. Is bitches and hoes everywhere. Ain't nobody got no problem with it. Now, is Tyler Perry wrong? Is 50 Cent wrong? Is Ryan Coogler wrong? No, that's just how they see things. That's the art they want to create. And if we don't want to see it, don't watch it. We can have other people that we support. Matter of fact, watch that Netflix movie that's coming out tomorrow about Young Love. Let's support that. Ain't nobody gonna watch it. You know why? Because don't nobody want to see nothing good. Unfortunately, bad shit energizes us. I don't know why.
That's that Coogler energy in you. That's that hyper nihilism. It's just all up in your pores. Yeah, we got a love show coming out tomorrow, but ain't nobody gonna watch that shit. We want terror. I get it. Destruction sells. You got to support the ones that give you what you're looking for. That's why I say the things I say. That's why I big up Issa Rae.
I'm rooting for everybody Black. I am.
I feel like she handles us with care every time she shows up, and it's not as if she can't tell a story about a character going through strife. I mean, if you could watch the first couple seasons of Insecure, but she does it with a level of care that doesn't make you walk in the lane of the stereotypes that everyone outside of this community already puts you in. That's where I'm at with it. Last thing I wanted to cue up, the scene with Sammie going back to see his father at the church. I just want to know what your guys' interpretation of that message was. We've seen this scene in other films. The church child returns to see their pastor father, to be embraced, to be brought back into the church, the love and embrace of the church family and all that. And so it wasn't that I needed that. I felt like that was obviously going to be turned on his head. I didn't really understand what we were getting at when his father was telling him to drop the guitar. And as we've talked about a few times, there is something that calls evil about this guitar, right? There's something that invites evil nature when he was playing the blues. I don't know if they were straight up trying to say the blues was evil, but there was something connected to that guitar that was driving Remick to them. So as his father is telling him to put it down, he drove all the way there, obviously, to get some sort of reconciliation. And then he bounces and goes off and has this star-studded career as a blues singer. So now, are we saying that decision, the fact that he finally did forsake his father in the church for good, is what opened up the door for him to be able to do what he truly wants?
First, I want to dispel the notion that Remick was only coming there for the music, because I see everybody says that. Everybody's saying like Sammie drew Remick there. Remick was coming either way it goes. When he attacked the man and the woman, he knew that they were KKK. He knew that their plans was to go to that juke joint and turn it out. The music just really kind of fascinated him and made him realize like, oh, this boy can conjure up ancestors. I want to see my peoples. So I think that's the interpretation that people are taking it away, like that the music brought the evil out, but the evil was coming anyway. That's why Blue was saying this movie is such a dual movie. There's a lot of duality in it. The evil was coming either way it goes. Now, as far as Sammie having to make a decision when he went back into the church, goes back to what I was saying previously. A lot of men and women during that time are suffering from post-traumatic slave syndrome. So you see your son walking in, bleeding, tore up, and your first instinct is to tell him, pray about it, put the weapon down that just saved your life. Church over, y'all move out the way. Come on, son, what happened? He didn't even take the time to acknowledge his child. He's still acknowledging that religion. You don't even see your child there. You just see religion. Pray about it. Put the evil down. You ain't even asked me what happened. You don't even know what happened. And as far as your take on him making the choice to leave. Sammie had already told y'all he was leaving. He told Smoke, bruh, I'm gone. I'm gone. Ain't nothing you can do to stop me. I'm leaving. I don't think he was trying to say, or Coogler was trying to say, by turning your back on religion, this is how you get your fame and fortune. I think Sammie was leaving anyway. And I think he just took religion with him, and he may have studied it in his own way, but he just probably just realized, look, my daddy might care about me, but he don't know how to care about me because all he cares about is religion. The man ain't even shut the church down. He kept the church going. And he's looking at, you want me to put this guitar down? This guitar just saved my life. This is my life, my boy.
I'm replaying that scene in my mind, and you're absolutely right. The man walks in and he doesn't address the fact that he bleeding or tired at all, and goes right to drop the guitar. And I'm now just realizing that that's exactly what Coogler meant it to be. He walked in, saw his son, and was more tied to the religion than the well-being of his son. If we already told Smoke that we was out, I'm leaving, there's nothing you can do to stop me, so then why did he go back? What did he go back for? It goes back to the same feeling that I have about why are these decisions being made? Why is a father seeing his clearly beaten and bloodied son and more worried about his musical instrument than his well-being? Why do we even have to tee up religion as an obstacle in any way in this situation if we hold religion dear and we want people to take their religion with them? We can show him taking his religion with him. We can show him reconciling with his father on his way out of town. That makes me feel better as a viewer, but I understand everybody doesn't have my taste and everybody's not looking through the lens that I'm looking through. I just continue to ask these questions because this direction seems constant with this creator. And so it's telling a story in itself.
Remember, Delta Slim, when he was talking to Sammie, he was talking about how religion was what they gave us. Blues is what we made. That's the whole thing about this whole movie. Like, remember I said it's religion versus kind of spirituality or something that you do on your own, right? And it's not to say that religion is bad, because I don't think that it's about being religion, that religion is bad. It's that you can have both in your life. You can do this or you can do that. The duality of this movie is so much going on. Left, right, what decisions do I make? It's all about consequences. If you are into Bible study or into the Bible, that scene is what I want to say that's in the Gospel of Luke, the prodigal son has returned, even though it was about the younger son coming back, and Sammie, I think, is the older son. But it's like the prodigal son is returned, right? Come back, ask for forgiveness. But Sammie didn't. Once he got there, and he probably came to ask for forgiveness, was like, man, let me go back. I just witnessed some of the craziest stuff. Let me go back home. Let me go back to where I think it's safe at. I know my daddy, my mama, and which I don't know if y'all remember this, that even talk about his dad. His dad ain't shit, man. The mama was worried about Sammie, and he was like, he told her to shut up. Drop the guitar, son. Drop the guitar. I was like, damn, you really don't care about Sammie? Like, you more worried about this religion? But I think it was more about the prodigal son coming back, and because in that story, the prodigal son comes back, asks for forgiveness so he can get the inheritance from the family. I think once Sammie got there, it was you know what? You don't care. I'm out. Yeah, I'm gonna go do my blues music. Like Tina said, I'm not dropping this guitar. This guitar saved my life. Where were you at? I think it was more to show all of that compiled into one thing: religion, the blues music, the choices that he made. Remember, because this is a full circle from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie. You see what I'm saying? Him getting to drive the car back. Remember, he asked, "Hey, you gonna let me drive the car?" He was like, "I'll let you drive back." He actually got to drive the car back. You know what I'm saying? So all of this is full circle, man. That's how I took it. And I think it was open enough for you to take it how you want to take it, right? I think that's a lot of this movie is up for interpretation, and it's up for discussion. It's up for us to have these discussions the way we have them. That's the way I looked at it.
Blue, I think that's the truest thing you said all night. This film definitely set the table for some very deep discussions. Let us know where you landed on the table. You on my side, you on their side while they jumping me. Let me know what you thought. Put your comments in the prompt below. Like, share, subscribe as always. Tina, let them know where they can find you.
You can find me, like I said at the beginning, she_dreads me, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter. I got an Instagram, but I don't really be too active over there, but definitely on YouTube. Check me out. I cover Marvel, Interview with the Vampire, Game of Thrones, all types of stuff.
Find me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. I'm on YouTube heavy. Threads right now. I'm putting some work in on Threads, man. Y'all come over there and have a good time with me on Threads. But yeah, come holler at your boy, man. Let's do it. I cover the same thing, Tina, Marvel. I'm doing not sports, but music right now. I'm trying to get in real heavy, doing hip hop and start reviewing some albums and stuff like that, man. So y'all check in with your boy.
Already appreciate y'all. We'll catch you with another one.